The Pathfinder Volume 26, Mastering the Art of CMC Communication, a quick guide to crafting a winning NDA submission.
In this audiocast, the communication of CMC information in regulatory submission is crucial for the safety, efficacy, and quality of a new drug. A clear and structured approach, with comprehensive and accurate information, is essential for effectively communicating CMC information. In this audiocast to crafting a winning NDA submission, some tips for mastering the art of CMC communication include organizing information logically, using clear and concise language, providing supporting data, anticipating questions and providing answers, and following regulatory guidelines. Avoid providing incomplete or inaccurate information and overlooking critical quality attributes.
Communicating CMC information in the NDA or BLA/CTD Quality Module 3 requires a clear and structured approach. The Quality Module 3 of the Common Technical Document is dedicated to CMC information, and it includes several sections that must be completed accurately to provide a comprehensive understanding of the drug's manufacturing process, controls, and specifications. Here are some tips on how to effectively communicate CMC information in the Marketing Application CTD Quality Module 3. Start with a comprehensive overview. Begin by providing a summary of the drug substance, drug product, and manufacturing process. This summary should be concise and should include the key elements of the CMC information presented in the subsequent sections. Describe the drug substance. Provide detailed information about the identity, purity, and potency of the drug substance. This information should include the chemical structure, physical and chemical properties, and any impurities present. It should also include information on the characterization of the drug substance, such as the analytical methods used and the results obtained. Describe the drug product. Provide information on the formulation, composition, and packaging of the drug product. This information should include details on the active and inactive ingredients, the dosage form, and the packaging materials. If there are multiple strengths or presentations of the drug product, provide details for each. Describe the manufacturing process. Provide a detailed description of the manufacturing process, including the equipment used, process controls, and process validation. This section should also include information on any critical process parameters and the control strategy used to ensure that the process is robust and reproducible. Provide data to support the CMC information. Provide data to support the CMC information presented in the previous sections. This data should include analytical test results, process validation data, and stability data. Ensure that the data is well organized, clearly labeled, and easy to understand. Describe the controls. Provide information on the controls used to ensure the quality of the drug substance and drug product. This section should include details on the control of critical quality attributes and the drug substance and product specifications. Anticipate questions and provide answers. Anticipate the questions that a regulatory reviewer may have about the CMC information presented in the submission. Provide answers to these questions in the submission to avoid delays in the regulatory review process. Follow regulatory guidelines. Ensure that the CMC information presented in the regulatory submission is consistent with the regulatory guidelines. The Quality Module 3 of the CTD provides a standardized format that must be followed to ensure that the information is presented in a manner that is consistent with regulatory expectations. Regulatory submissions for new drugs must contain comprehensive and accurate information about the drug's composition, manufacturing, and controls. This information is critical for regulatory agencies to evaluate the safety, efficacy, and quality of the drug. Therefore, it is essential to effectively communicate CMC information in regulatory submissions. Here are some tips on how to achieve this. Tip 1. Organize the information logically. The first step to effective communication is to organize the CMC information logically. A clear and structured presentation of information helps regulators to understand the complexities of the manufacturing process, controls, and specifications. Consider organizing the information according to the following categories. Drug substance. Include information on the identity, purity, strength, and characterization of the drug substance. Drug product. Include information on the composition, formulation, and packaging of the drug product. Manufacturing process. Include information on the manufacturing process, such as the equipment used, process controls, and process validation. Controls. Include information on the control of critical process parameters, quality attributes, and specifications. Tip 2. Use clear and concise language. The language used in the regulatory submission should be clear and concise. Avoid using technical jargon and acronyms that may not be familiar to the regulatory reviewer. Instead, use plain language to explain the manufacturing process, controls, and specifications. Consider including glossaries or definitions of technical terms to help the regulatory reviewer understand the information presented. Tip 3. Provide supporting data. Supporting data is essential for regulatory reviewers to evaluate the CMC information. Include relevant data such as analytical test results, process validation data, and stability data to support the information presented in the regulatory submission. Ensure that the data is well organized, clearly labeled, and easy to understand. Tip 4. Anticipate questions and provide answers. Anticipate the questions that a regulatory reviewer may have about the CMC information presented in the submission. Provide answers to these questions in the submission to avoid delays in the regulatory review process. Consider providing a summary of the most critical information to help the regulatory reviewer quickly understand the key aspects of the manufacturing process, controls, and specifications. Tip 5. Follow regulatory guidelines. Finally, it is essential to follow regulatory guidelines when preparing the CMC information for regulatory submission. Regulatory agencies provide guidelines and requirements for the submission of CMC information. These guidelines ensure that the information is presented in a standardized format that is consistent with regulatory expectations. Ensure that the CMC information presented in the regulatory submission is consistent with the regulatory guideline. Also, when conveying CMC information, you should also look to avoid the following. Do not provide incomplete or inaccurate information. Incomplete or inaccurate information can lead to delays in the regulatory review process and can even result in the rejection of the submission. Ensure that all information provided is accurate, complete, and consistent with the regulatory guidelines. Do not overlook critical quality attributes. Critical quality attributes are essential characteristics of a drug product that must be controlled within predefined limits to ensure its safety, efficacy, and quality. Ensure that all CQAS are identified and appropriately controlled. Do not ignore process validation. Process validation is a critical component of the manufacturing process and provides evidence that the process is capable of consistently producing a drug product that meets the predefined specifications. Ensure that the manufacturing process is validated and that the validation data is included in the submission. Do not ignore stability data. Stability data provides evidence that the drug product remains stable and retains its quality, safety, and efficacy over its intended shelf life. Ensure that the stability data is included in the submission and is consistent with the predefined specifications. Do not ignore regulatory guidelines. Regulatory guidelines provide the framework for the submission and must be followed to ensure that the submission is consistent with the regulatory expectations. Failure to follow the guidelines can lead to delays in the regulatory review process and can even result in the rejection of the submission. Do not oversimplify or overcomplicate the information. The information presented in the submission should be concise, clear, and easy to understand. Avoid oversimplifying the information, as this can lead to an incomplete understanding of the drug product's manufacturing process, controls, and specifications. Similarly, avoid overcomplicating the information, as this can lead to confusion and delays in the regulatory review process. In conclusion, effective communication of CMC information in regulatory submissions is critical for the approval of new drugs. Organize the information logically. Use clear and concise language, provide supporting data, anticipate questions and provide answers, and follow regulatory guidelines to ensure that the CMC information is effectively communicated. By following these tips, you can increase the chances of a successful regulatory review of your drug submission. And finally, it is essential to avoid these common mistakes when communicating CMC information in regulatory NDA submissions. By ensuring that all information provided is accurate, complete, and consistent with the regulatory guidelines, you can increase the chances of a successful review and approval.
Thank you for listening to this audiocast. Are you an emerging biotech or established pharmaceutical company struggling to keep up with the ever-changing landscape of drug regulations? Look no further than efficacy. We are the leading consulting group helping organizations comply with drug regulations through a comprehensive drug development model incorporating augmented intelligence and data analytics. Our industry experts can guide you through the complex world of compliance, making it more manageable than ever. With our Reimagining Regulatory Pathways services, we can help you design and implement best practices to streamline your operations and ensure you stay in line with current legislation. Our range of services covers regulatory drug development's technical and strategic aspects. Let us help you develop an overall strategy that accounts for all potential risks while still being able to meet your objectives. Visit our website at www.enkrisi.com to learn more and get started on the path to regulatory compliance success.